Hey everyone, my name is Colin and I am from New Jersey. Both my wife and I grew up in really fundamentalist religion where we weren't allowed to watch anything that basically came out after Leave It to Beaver. So when we got married, we said we wanted to go back through all of the television shows we weren't allowed to watch as kids. And one of my friends had always said, you have to watch How I Met Your Mother. So we decided to one day on a whim see how we like it. And by the first episode, we were hooked. No joke, we went through the entire series in roughly 3 months. We're all unreliable narrators, so maybe it was 2, we can go with that. But I didn't realize on the first watch why I liked it so much. But as you've been doing the podcast and I've been listening along, I realized how much of an emotional intelligence and depth there is to it. And Josh, you are becoming one of my favorite philosophers really fast. So thank you all so much for the show. Thank you for doing this podcast. I love it. It has meant so much to me.
I'm alone. What a pity I won't be soon in New York City. When I see you, please permit me to tell you everything in New York City.
Well, hello, HIMYM fans across the land. It's Josh Radner. I'm here with my friend Craig Thomas.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, welcome to How We Made Your Mother. We are discussing the television show How I Met Your Mother. Craig co-created it with Carter Bays. I played Ted Mosby on that show for 9 years. I was in every single episode, and we're rewatching them one by one, and we're having a great time. How are you today, Craig?
I'm good. I loved that story. That story was kind of amazing, right? Like, that's to discover How I Met Your Mother in that way, coming from that perspective, and just be right in immediately. That's really
I also
cool.
like that it's kind of like, we need to join the modern world. What have we missed?
I love that Leave It to Beaver was deemed acceptable in whatever religious. But anything past there,
that's where things got dark in culture post Leave It to Beaver.
By the way, I guess you could argue that.
Yeah. Craig, I never told you this, but I met a woman, a musician, at this party who was a huge How I Met Your Mother fan, and she also grew up in this fundamentalist, family in the South. And when she started watching How I Met Your Mother, she said her mind was blown because she said she literally didn't realize you could have sex outside of marriage, like that it would be something you would do outside of marriage. And it was just like, she couldn't believe it. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
And did she say how it, was she like, all right, all bets are off. Let's get it. Let's get on
I
with
don't think she was a fundamentalist anymore, but she was grateful to us. I mean, there's something funny about, non-English speakers turn to it because it's like, oh, we can learn about English. And then people who grew up incredibly sheltered in one way or another are like, teach me How I Met Your Mother about the world of
Please
people
debauch
and
me.
cities.
I'm glad we could, that's the public service we could offer up. You're welcome, world.
Yeah. That was great, Colin. I'm so glad you guys discovered the show, and I'm so glad you could watch it together. And today we are discussing episode 16, which is called Cupcake. We'll decide at the end, Craig, if this was the right title for, because it seems like half of these you've realized they
there's
should
a
have had
high
another
percentage
title.
of title switches. Yeah, I can't say one jumped out at me for this, but I did. There's a question mark on it. I have a target on it. Maybe we'll come up with something better during the show. Let's say.
Yeah. So episode 16, Cupcake. Alec, when did this air?
This aired on March 6th, 2006.
March 6th, 2006. Okay, we're cruising along. So obviously this is part of the back 9. As we said, we got an initial order from the network and studio for 13 episodes. Things were going well enough that they ordered up 9 more to complete the season for a 22 full season order. So Craig, first of all, just give us a quick kind of plot synopsis of what happens here and where we're at in the story.
Yeah, this is a crossroads moment for Ted and Victoria. Had one of my thoughts right away was, had we realized how great Ashley was going to be on the show, who played Victoria, we definitely would have stretched this. We would have delayed this crossroads a little longer. Yeah. I'm going to give a bunch of notes on every episode. That's my one note. But that's really just a compliment to how amazing Ashley is. And again, they don't break up in this episode. They start this long distance. This is the inciting incident of this episode is that she is offered the opportunity to go live in Germany for a couple of years and study. She's a baker and she's gotten into a culinary institute there. And this is the crossroads moment of they haven't been together that long. but they really like each other. I don't think they've said they've loved each other yet, but it's that crossroads moment that a lot of people have been at. I think all of us have had moments like this where you go, what do we do now? Do we stay together? Do we try to be long distance? Do we break up? And this is two different sides of that story. We see sort of Ted's day deciding what to do about this. They decide to take a day apart. And then we see the same day over again from Ashley Williams' perspective, from Victoria's perspective. And then we sort of see the result of that at the end.
Right. But, there's also the B story of kind of, it's like Marshall suit shopping and Lily wedding dress shopping. And one thing that I admire about How I Met Your Mother that I think we've touched on a little bit is you guys deal with economics. You deal with the situation of like these people, yes, they live in New York, they live in Manhattan, they have a fairly spacious apartment, but money's tight. Lily's a preschool teacher. Marshall is in law school. They do not have $12,000 to blow on these purchases. So I really like that. And I also think, we'll get into this, but Barney's kind of offer of like, come over to the dark side because we can get you out of this economic hole you've dug yourself into is really smart because we can have all the idealism in the world and the real world starts calling children, schools, like all these things that are just stressors on relationships. So I really appreciated the B story. And I think this episode is actually quite geniusly structured and we'll get into that. But what were your kind of, did you have any sweeping overall thoughts about this episode?
I really liked the structure. I really liked that the middle of the show is we see it all from one side, then we rewind and see act 3 of the show is sort of re-seeing it all from the other side.
Very Tarantino, that
it's very Tarantino.
Bit is,
I really like that you sort of like, there's a split screen phone call that slides you into one story and then it slides you into another story in act 2 and act 3 of this show. I really liked that structure. And I forgot how, what happens with Marshall and Lily is important in this episode. It actually like puts a lot of stress and strain on them and sends them off. I'd forgotten how we did that episode called Game Night. Where you kind of see the making of Barney Stinson, and it's very overtly kind of how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. It's even shot like that. When you see Barney, the first time he's suited up is sort of like our little shot-for-shot tribute to how you first see Darth Vader become suited up. And I like that in this episode, this is Barney really being Darth Vader. He's really trying to pull Marshall onto working on the Death Star. He's basically he's basically like trapping him into it by overcommitting him to this suit expense. And then as big as Marshall's suit expense is, and he's walked into this spider web Barney has set for him, Lily's dress expense is even bigger. They wind up like 10K, 12K in the hole in this episode or something like that. Is a big deal when you're 27, 28 years old, headed towards a wedding. That's a big deal. And I'd forgotten kind of, I remembered the structure of this episode and really liking the structure of this episode, but I forgot how important it was, the jeopardy it was putting Marshall and Lily in. I liked remembering it did that too.
A more charitable reading of Barney's trying to trick Marshall onto the Death Star with him
Please.
Is that Barney, part of his thing is he tries to make himself essential to everyone.
That's his deeper need. That is the character's deeper need.
he is trying to get everyone to absolutely depend on him.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what his tactics are. It goes back to that thing we said about every expression is either an expression of love or a cry for love.
Yeah.
He's just crying for love. And you saw in Game Night, like, this is a guy who is like actually wildly, you could make the case given, and again, this is getting back into another episode, but like given what we see of Barney in that coffee shop, like he makes Ted look like, an action hero. Like
hippie Barney is very real. We went very deep there. He is, that was no joke.
And the hurt and the shame and the mask he had to put on to cover all that, it's like, kind of like never again. I mean, it kind of, this is a dark reference, but like you see, if you watched Adolescence, did you watch Adolescence?
I haven't yet. I heard it's amazing.
Okay. It's amazing, but there's this kid, he's done something really just awful. And he talks about this moment when he realized like he wasn't good at sports. And he saw his father kind of like look away, like he messed up like on the soccer field or whatever. And he saw his father like look away. And he could feel his dad's shame. And it's just like this wound in his heart that just won't go away.
Yeah.
And it makes, I think we all, those are those moments you wake up at 3 a.m. It's kind of that thing we were talking about, heavyweight, we all have our top 5. Like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? If only this had happened, my life would look totally different,
Yeah.
So I do think there's a benevolent reading of Barney's deceptions, but also he's pure evil. He's trying to recruit him to do.
That's the thing. It's kind of both. It comes from it comes from this deep need to be important to people. Mostly Barney's trying to be important to Ted, but he realizes, wait, I can be the dominant force in Marshall's life if I do this.
If I'm the dominant force in Marshall's life, I'm actually closer to Ted, and I've woven everyone in close.
I've woven everyone in, and you don't know where he'll take it from there. But he clearly does not want Marshall to get married either.
Yeah.
He's trying to take Marshall under his wing. He's like, this isn't working out with Ted. Ted's jumping into this whole other relationship. Remember, Barney tried to peel Ted off into his world at that wedding, and exactly as Barney's doing it, Ted falls in love from across the credit room with Victoria. Right. And he's like, all right, I've lost Ted. Maybe I can get Marshall. That's kind of his take.
And I wrote you this little ditty to sing to you in New York City.
We'll be right back. Greg, exciting news.
What's this news I've heard so much about?
Well, you know how I have a hard time feeding myself?
I do.
And never been able to hold a fork or a spoon.
You're wasting all... Yeah, what's happening? I'm worried about you.
No, it's hard as an adult. Remember I made that movie about college and called Liberal Arts, and one of the things I missed the most about college was the dining hall.
Right, it's all right there.
I find as an adult, it's very hard to feed yourself without a meal plan.
Go ahead, I'm with you. I'm with you on the premise.
What if you had a meal plan as an adult? In the form of HelloFresh delivered right to your doorstep, which happened yesterday.
Are you Don Draper over here? What's going on? You've come up with a whole ad concept in the middle of the ad. This is amazing. You're fixing the car while driving.
We got HelloFresh sent to the apartment. There were 2 dishes. They both looked terrific. One of them was like a creamy pesto mushroom risotto.
Listening.
Which I'm gonna make tonight.
What time should I come over? 6?
No, I'm not feeding you tonight.
No, that was a very fast no, by the way.
Yeah, no. But I'll take a shot. I'll send you a.
Okay,
photo.
send me a picture. Second, that's next best.
Yeah, missing you.
Thinking of you.
But I will be making it tonight. It looks really terrific. Hello, I said hello. Fresh.
You said hello, fresh. That's what you said to it.
This looks fresh. They promised high quality ingredients, seasonal fresh produce, proteins, travel from the farm to my doorstep, and that's what I got. So I'll be throwing it together tonight. It looks like it takes no time. I feel like I'm back in the dining hall at Kenyon College.
Adult dining hall, you achieved. You've solved a life problem here, Joshy. Ready? Yeah. I'm going to say this thing now. Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/yourmother10FM now to get 10 free meals. That's what the FM means. It's not talking about old school radio. With a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. HelloFresh.
Alec, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you ever leave your house and go places?
As seldomly as I could, but there have been times I've left.
Yeah, you get to a certain age and you just want to hunker down. And
I don't want to go anywhere.
Where have you been recently outside of the home?
I went on a big trip. I went to Sancerre.
Sancerre?
Ouais, Sancerre.
That's in France?
It is in France. It clearly is in France.
Wow. How was that? What were you doing there?
It's an incredible town. I was taking a language course for 2 weeks, 4 hours a day. Immersed in French in this beautiful town.
We get it. You're smarter than us. Just move through. Move through.
1,000 years old. But I'll tell you this. I don't. It's very famous Sancerre. It's very famous for wine and cheese. I don't drink wine and I don't eat cheese.
Oh.
I was in the wrong town. But it was beautiful. It's an amazing place. And now I'm doing research for a project that I'd like to do there.
Oh, fantastic! Are you aware of how much money you lost by not hosting your home on Airbnb while you were in Sancerre?
Boom. You didn't see that coming, did you, Al?
No.
You thought you were all smart with your Sancerre language class. Guess what? You lost out on making money with your apartment. You could have been hosting it on Airbnb while you were in Sancerre. Alec, your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host.
now, back to the show. I've now started taking extensive notes while Jordana and I watch this show.
Lay it on us.
Is it Robin who says, "What's with inviting Punky Brewster"?
Yes. I was wondering how that reference is aging for the kids today, because it was an old reference in 2006.
But you know what? It's almost like saying, like, it's basically like, to bring it back to the opening, it's like a Leave It to Beaver reference.
It is
in
a Leave
the
It
90s.
You know? Oh, it is. And that's what's terrifying about it. It is about that far, and certainly further away now.
Yeah.
It was that far in 2006.
I think that it's okay to have like some of these dated topical references. Like, it is especially this show gets away with it because it is a father telling kids about the joke of the show while it was on was, this is the past, but it's our present. Like, that was the whole meta joke of the show.
Yes.
But now it's is
different
the past.
now.
Like, it's aging in a really interesting way. But if you look at, like, if you read any Shakespeare, like, you have to read that with the footnotes. Like, you have to read when he has these weird references. You have to realize that was a reference to something that everyone would understand in the theater. We have zero idea what it is. Yeah. But I also think about this as a writer. Sometimes it's like, clarity is great. Narrative clarity is great. You don't want to scramble it. But every line, I don't think the audience has to understand, like, when the criminals are sitting around in Reservoir Dogs and they're talking like criminals, there's a kind of coded language that is good and appropriate for that. If they leave you in the dust a little bit, that's fine. You're eavesdropping on a bunch of criminals that have their own vocabulary, their own code, you know?
And it's inside jokes too. It's inside jokes.
It's inside if you get up close to, like, a very good friend group, we've all had this experience. You're invited, you're kind of the outsider in a friend group. And you're like, I don't understand 50% of these jokes. Like, this is built on history and references and all kinds of stuff. So I actually really appreciated that joke. If you were doing a recut, I'd be like, keep in the Punky Brewster joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. This show doesn't shy away from saying it was the fall of 2006, it was the spring of 2006 or whatever it is, because it's like, this was his life story and this was the year this happened and this is how we talked in
and it's grounded in time and place.
Yeah,
and
it's not hiding what year it's supposed to be. It's like, this is the year. So in that
I liked
sense,
Ted's line, "This is the Europe, Germany."
Yeah. I really like that line. Yeah, and, you played that scene great. That scene where they realize they're really sliding into trouble and Ted's kind of trying to half bargain his way out of it, but half kind of charm her. And they're both, I really like in this episode how you and Ashley are feeling each other out. Like, who's going to say the thing first? It was such a great portrait of that moment of a relationship where they haven't quite been together long enough.
It's a great stress test too early.
Way too early.
Like, it just comes too early. And they're like, this is going great. And now we have to, like, make all the, I mean, it's not unlike, like, we're 2 months in and she got pregnant. It's like, it's like way, that's even more heightened, but it's just like, oh, the stakes suddenly got ratcheted up and neither of us were prepared for this.
Yeah.
I loved Neil's response on, "You speak Ukrainian?" And he's like, like that little, like, just a little bit, just a little, enough to talk to the tailor.
Everything is so confusing in that tailor's room. There's just a giant bird cage that's like, is there an ostrich that lives in that bird cage? It is the weirdest set. It is, and Ukrainian's being spoken, and it's delightfully weird.
Yeah. My favorite joke in the episode is Gabrielle. Like, that is so funny.
That makes the whole episode. I would argue that the entire episode doesn't work without the Gabrielle double meaning. Who Gabrielle is.
It's like kind of that thing of don't tell a story, like show a story. But this is like, this works just in the telling of it is the joke.
Yeah,
and it's so funny. Like, it's funny without Lily's reveal.
Yeah, no, it's funny on the A side. It seems like it's done on the A side. Yeah.
I didn't remember this. But Marshall's like how tough he was, how he stood up for his woman, and tossed around this French, mustachioed guy.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And the reveal that it was Gabrielle.
It's heartbreaking. You feel so bad for poor Gabrielle.
Her female friend with a little mustache she was embarrassed about.
And Marshall's telling it's like the bravest he ever was. This is the strongest he ever was in life. It's so bad. I love, he's hilarious in telling that story. And that was the biggest laugh. Rewatching the episode, that was the biggest laugh for me too. And I was watching with my wife Rebecca, and she had forgotten that joke completely, and she lost her mind laughing at
Jordana
that joke.
laughed so hard at that too.
That's a
and
good
also
one.
Allie's playing of it without a single wink. Like
No
Allie
wink.
just like,
Yeah.
oh, this friend, like,
I don't know why
she
she stopped hanging out with me.
hanging out with me.
It's so good, that joke. The other thing I appreciated about the daring of that joke is they're really far apart from each other. We're really writing for the smartest audience. That's the best way to write, is you write for who you hope your audience is. I hope our audience is an audience that watches. And remember, this aired on commercial television. You had to sit between the acts of Act 2 and Act 3 of this show. You're sitting through 3 minutes of like Lexus ads and shit. And then you have to remember that little Gabrielle A-side. You have to watch a bunch of commercials, go make some popcorn, and come back. And like deep into that next act, you get the ending of that joke that you didn't even know there was a part 2 to that joke. Yeah. And you have to remember that. And it really is rewarding if you trust the audience to sort of stick with you through that. It's that's why there's a little high wire act between those two jokes, I think, of trusting the audience. And I'm so glad we did that. It's my favorite joke in the whole episode.
It's that thing of like play to the smartest people in the room, but also like let the audience put 2 and 2 together, and they'll love you forever. The Billy Wilder quote I've talked about.
Yeah, that's the best quote you've said. I think you've said that before in here. That's the best way to write anything.
This is literally like, it's a math problem. Like it's like, here's 2, and then 15 minutes later, here's another one, and boom, if you get, it's so satisfying. I also really laughed when Marshall said, "I'll eat that mustache off your creepy French face." Is that what he says?
Almost positive that was a Phil Lord line, because I remember thinking only Phil Lord would think of a thread. I will eat your mustache.
Right. Face in the case.
There's a bunch of mustache comedy in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, I think, where the monkey wants to eat or tear off the mustache off of someone. And I always think of Phil, and I'm like, I think Phil pitches the eating the mustache joke in Cupcake too. I hope I'm right about that. Phil, let us know if you're right.
And Marshall's saying, to be honest, I'm not that proud of it, but to be even more honest, I am.
Yeah, I love that line, because that's a very real thing.
Yeah,
just that form is true in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah, and like I shouldn't have done that. And also, one of the highlights of my life.
I'm telling the story years later, kind of bragging. Yeah.
She's a cat person, and then Ted saying, "I don't know this girl at all."
Yeah, I loved how Ted just craters in that moment. But that's the stakes of this episode. A good HIMYM episodes investigate a couple of truths, at a time, and dive in deep. And the one of like, do I know this person well enough? And Ted's also like kind of doing the opposite of jumping to I love you and jumping to, like it's kind of the opposite. He's trying to learn a lesson. He's actually trying to stay. He's a little cagey. He's not sure what to do here. And that is what makes it so interesting, and what shows you a different look at Ted.
He's also like, he's really, except when it comes to Barney, he's incredibly susceptible to the power of suggestion.
Yes.
Yes. Like you can rattle Ted's confidence by saying, like, just injecting like a little thing, a little worm into his brain. Yeah. That tends to like go.
Or any little seed of hope where all of a sudden you can be like, you think she likes me? Like it really is. Ted is a cat with the laser pointer in a way at times. Yeah.
I had this experience watching Ted in this episode, and I said this to Jordana. I said, on some level, I think I was playing Ted exactly right. Like he was perfectly Ted-like. And on another, there are moments when I just wish I had lightened up or loosened the kind of grip on his sincerity and his, because sometimes I feel like it comes across a little bit like scowly, or a little bit like, there were times where I wanted him to unfurrow his brow and kind of just be a little more relaxed. And Jordana said, but that's not who he was. That is not who he was. He was like a little balled up and a little tense. And it might just be older me wanting to tell younger actor me, like, you can relax. Like, you don't have to hit all, it's going to run for 9 years. Like, don't worry. Yeah. Like, you can relax.
But we didn't know that. We didn't know that. And so much of season 1 was us singing for our supper. And one of the ways we were singing for our supper was creating episodes with drives and stakes and problems. And usually Ted was the motor for those problems, right? He was the way we were investigating these questions. Right. Like, what happens in a relationship when you've been together for a couple months and there's this huge accelerated fast forward to what are we really doing here?
Yeah.
And Ted is carrying that weight in this episode. Ted is often carrying a heavier weight than others.
And he has to be the kind of person who steps in it a lot.
Yes.
Like if he's too self-aware, if he's too knowing, he's going to skirt a lot of these problems, and the narrative needed him to not.
He's 28. He's 27, 28 years old.
Yeah.
He doesn't know, right? I mean, he's the younger version. This is the older version looking back at it's so funny. You want to do what Bob Saget, what Future Ted was doing, essentially. You want to go back and be like, it's okay. But he had to not be okay in that moment. And that was the truth of it.
The all the times he made missteps and said the wrong thing or the right thing at the wrong time, that's what forged him. That's what made him.
That's what made him him.
The dude who could step in, onto that train platform.
It is. That's the progression, and we didn't know how long that progression was going to be, but we had to start off in searching mode, and Ted had to be the live wire that he was. I'm often impressed by how much energy is required in your performance on this show. Like, other people do get to be off to the side, having a little more fun along the way.
Yeah.
And in later seasons, that's less true. I think we spread it around a little bit more, the stakes of it, and soon enough, Marshall and Lily will have some more problems on their hands without getting into too many spoilers. But Ted does a lot of heavy lifting in sort of moving the story forward and creating the problems that are being investigated. And that's just where he was. That's where he was. That's where the character was. That's where the character needed to be.
I mean, he's certainly the narrative engine of the first season.
Especially so, yeah.
Kind of the iconic thing is Ted going to get the girl, Marshall, Lily, and Barney in the back seat, cheering him on.
Yeah.
That feels like it happens a bunch of times.
That's why I like the Marshall and Lily story in this, because it really does create a new problem that's going to send them off in different directions. It reminds you they're getting married. It makes them deeply in debt, and it sends Marshall off into kind of getting sucked into Barney land.
It's like B story revelations become A stories later on.
Yeah. We were planting seeds for later A stories that don't require Ted to always be the one with the problem.
Right.
Which is good, because it is some heavy lifting to always have to do that. That said, I really like the ending of this episode being that I really liked the bittersweetness of the ending of this episode, even though it creates yet more problems for Ted. Ted's going to have a lot of high drama all the way to the end of season 1, but I really liked calling our shot that this was not going to go well. I watched the ending of this episode and I thought, I think I remember reading some reviews of this where people hated that. Or maybe just some fan responses or something, or maybe it was like my own mother or something. There was somebody that didn't like it, but I would argue that is one of the best things about How I Met Your Mother, that we do the rom-com episode. It feels like it's the rom-com you've seen a lot of times, and then at the very end there's this twist afforded to you by the fact that it's a story being told from the future, and the future Ted can say, I hate to tell you, you past me, but this is not going to go well. Actually, it makes you want to see the next episode.
And this old man, he must admit he fell in love with you in New York City.
And now, commercials.
All right, Alec, let's do a quick lightning round. Summer is upon us. When you think of summer plans, what do you think of? What comes to mind?
Baseball.
Very good. Very good. I'm going to say fireflies.
Yeah, in Manhattan we had fewer fireflies than squirrels. We had a lot of squirrels.
But they're seasonal. They're all seasons, the squirrels.
Squirrels are perennial, yeah. So if we want to stick to summer, let's do hot dogs. Everything at a baseball game is pretty much where my mind goes.
Hot dogs at the baseball game. Cold beer, hot dogs, baseball, lemonade, and maybe when the sun goes down, some fireflies. That's it. We're painting a delightful scene here.
And I'll tell you something else that I always get. Pretty high cell phone bills right in the heart of the summer.
Well, yeah, but that's something that will, if anything's going to ruin your night out at the ballpark, it's being haunted by a big phone bill, okay? So while you're planning beach trips to the ballpark, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. Do you agree, Alec?
I completely agree, and that's why, here we go, I'm going to channel my Craig here. That's why we're going to do a fantastic ad for Mint Mobile right now, because with Mint, You can get the coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money. And for a limited time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for just $15 a month.
What a deal. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring along all of your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of unlimited service from Mint Mobile for $15 a month.
Now, listeners to this show have heard the ongoing stories of our co-producer, Doug. Doug has been trying Mint out for us for a little while. You should try it too. He's got great coverage, great price. I literally don't know what else matters when it comes to a cell phone plan. Great coverage, great price. Mint has both, better than those big, ridiculous companies.
Yeah, the story of Doug and his Mint Mobile phone experience is the second best series we've been talking about on this podcast. So,
yeah.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer in your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/yourmother. That's mintmobile.com/yourmother. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 GB on unlimited plan, taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
End of commercials. Back to show.
You know, Jennifer Senior and I have been collaborating around this project, but she wrote this article, an amazing journalist. She won a Pulitzer Prize for this article called What Bobby McIlvaine Left Behind. It was about this 26-year-old who died in the World Trade Center in the North Tower on 9/11 and how his family grieved in all these different ways. And there's this diary that his father, Bobby's father, gave to his fiance without checking with the mom. And it was his last journal. He was a real journaler. And the mom wanted this diary back, and the fiance refused to give it to him, to the mom. And the journalist, Jen, is, friends with this family. She's in the story, and she says, she sets it up like, this journal, what if she doesn't have the journal? And then she says, but don't worry, she had it.
Yeah.
And it's like this, it's at the beginning kind of the article.
Yeah.
And it's this great narrative thing of like, I'm setting up suspense that I'm going to pull the rug out from under because I have other suspenseful things to tell you. We're going to dispense with the suspense.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you what happened. So
it creates a new kind of suspense. What is in this journal? We're going to find out.
It creates a new kind of suspense. For me, the new kind of suspense is not will this work out or won't this work out? It's how will it not work out?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. How will it not work out becomes the new suspense. And I really liked that moment. It really reminded me that How I Met Your Mother at its best is a rom-com and a kind of postmodern dissection of a rom-com at the same time, because there's this future knowledge of how it's going to be.
Future knowledge.
And the future, no, it doesn't come over. But it's, I really liked the boldness of that, because it's really snuck in like just a sucker punch at the end of the episode, just future Ted. Long distance is a terrible idea, because it is. Long distance sucks. It does actually suck. Shit goes wrong in long distance.
Statistically improbable that it will.
It can work, but it's not easy, and often it doesn't work. And just the raw honesty of like, this is not. You're hearing the sweet music. You're seeing the kiss at the airport. It's so familiar. Everything is so familiar. And then the cognitive dissonance of the narrator telling you like, this was a fuse being lit and it was going to blow up. Stay tuned and watch how. I really liked that moment.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it was, again, like trust in your audience. Like, they're going to stick with us, even if we defy expectations. At every turn.
And some people want the neater's happier ending. It's just a sweet kiss and the pretty song, and then you see everything goes well in the next week. And it's like, I think people think they want that, but it's so boring. It's so boring to do that all the time.
Life does not give you that. Life gives you...
Very rarely.
I loved that also. I love that you're given something you want. Oh, they're going to stay together, and it's just taken away from you. But I think it goes to a couple of things. This whole show that you wrote, the mother's just going to be a person. That's going to be the big reveal. The mother's going to be a human woman who gave birth to children.
Right.
And you are building it up.
Spoilers.
You are building it up as a gigantic mystery that, like we've said many times, well, if I just told you, then the show's kind of over. But also, if that's all you're thinking about, you're not going to enjoy the ride quite that much. Like, we have so much on this ride that is hopefully just as interesting as that. And I think it goes to a couple of things that just come to mind. One is the last season of The West Wing started where you skip to the end, you skip to like a decade later, and you see that Bartlett, who's been president, who has been sick, is alive. Now, a hanging question over the show towards the end is, will this character die? And I think the creators were like, I don't want that to be the mystery. I'm just going to tell you he didn't die. Now, please enjoy my show. I think also Better Call Saul and anything that has prequels is in this same genre of, I'll tell you the ending. You've seen the ending. I'm going to build up to, it's the promise of Star Wars Episode 1, 2, 3 that didn't quite deliver.
But Andor did. Andor did. The show Andor did. I think Andor is, if anyone's watching that.
But it's less about where we're going and more about how did we get here.
Exactly. Yeah. And the joyousness of saying, this is what happens, but there's so many great details along the way. Don't worry about this other thing. Focus on be present. Be present in what you're watching. I love
that about Andor. You know they're all spoilers. You know they're all going to die.
Yeah.
If you've watched that movie, if you've watched, you know what I mean? You watch Rogue One, you're like, they're all going to die. But what they do before that happens is the story. And of course, How I Met Your Mother is mostly not about the mother. Sorry. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's about these characters and their lives and what led to the ending. And the ending is just one part. And there's no endings anyway in life. There's only one kind.
We jump to the end, but I do want to, there's a couple other things I just wanted to hit in the episode. Yeah.
Like a How I Met Your Mother episode. We are jumping around. That's narrative timeline.
Non-linear here. I loved when Lily says, damn you, Old Navy, and your reasonably priced 3-packs.
I love that joke. Yes. So, I should give a shout out to Maria Ferrari, very funny writer. She was our writer's assistant. She wrote this episode. She was a writer's assistant. We gave her a script in season 1. We really made a point. Carter and I, it meant a lot to us to always give opportunities to our writer's assistant and our script coordinator. And we had a lot of great people in those roles who were able to write episodes and move up onto the staff and stuff. And so that's always satisfying to do.
You know what's a thing I notice about the show, but about what must be fun in a comedy writer's room? Coming up with different ways for Robin to denigrate Victoria's overseas opportunity.
Yes.
So like she calls it a donut fellowship.
A donut fellowship.
What was the other one? There was another really good
so
one.
Demeaning. Super important dessert.
Super important dessert scholarship.
Scholarship or something. Robin has some sass in this one. Let's be honest. There's some sass.
But also the different wedding dresses, like how to describe the awfulness of them is like a fun writer challenge. Like the mullet of wedding dresses is really funny.
And
but it reminded me
of there. They created a great mullet dress. We clearly just wrote a joke and they had to come up with what it looked like. And
I think this is one of the few times where I actually said to you guys, I think we should do this. And you guys did it. And it's season 3. Was that beginning of season 3? Was that the breakup beard?
Yes.
So you guys had me coming out in an early draft.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I went in and I came out without the beard. And I said, no man alive has a full beard and just shaves it off. You shave in.
You're going to do
goatee.
Bits along the way.
You do bits along the way. So then you guys, I remember, had so much fun with like Chester Arthur jokes, you know, like.
Oh, yes.
So it's funny when you're like, okay, you have a premise and then you like unleash comedy writers on it. You're like, Ted's changing facial hairs, different awful wedding dresses, Victoria's, donut fellowship, make fun of it.
Naked man poses was another iteration of
Naked man poses, exactly. Where you just like unleash the hive brain on the thing.
It's such a great feeling because you're like, all right, we're on firm ground here. We can just have fun with this. We can just. That's a great feeling in a writer's room. Like you got those 5 jokes at least. Those are out of the way.
It really made me laugh. This was a little visual joke, but Lily shimmying her dress up to sit on the chair. It's like so quick, but she kind of like does this thing because she's not used to being in those kind of dresses. I thought also like, man, Ted's talk of soulmates is so I mean, it's almost like being a young actor and being like, every audition, you're like, is this the hit thing that's going to change my life? It's like, bro, just do the audition. Like, it's so much pressure.
Shut up and read the lines. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much pressure to put on a relationship, and it's pressure for him, it's pressure for her. I just wanted him to calm down.
She was thinking it too. He was not alone in thinking that, at least on this one.
Lily sitting on the cake is one of the great like visual gags of How I Met Your Mother.
I forgot quite how catastrophic that was.
It's
like that
horrible.
really destroyed that dress. It really was painful to watch again.
I completely forgot it was about to happen.
I did too. I really forgot about it. It felt very shocking when it happened again.
Yeah.
I don't know if I thought it was going to happen later. I don't know what I thought.
And the detail that it's not just it's chocolate and raspberries. Like, it's impossible. Yeah. Like, that is on there for good.
And it looked so good. Again, just like wardrobe and props and like every element of that was so good.
Do you remember, did you do one take of that, or did you have all wedding dresses?
Oh boy, that's a great question. That's a good Pam Fryman or Allison Hannigan question. I bet. I mean, they would have had to have at least one other, because if it fucked up. But I bet we didn't have more than two.
It's almost like a trust fall or a stunt. Like, she sits on it with such like casual ease.
And is it plausible that she's not sure she sat on it? The dress is so stiff. It's like, how did she not feel a giant cake? She really has a little bead.
Every episode has a what's it called? Like an ask.
There's a bind.
Like,
the suspension of disbelief. Yeah.
It's suspension of disbelief. So this is like a very minor thing, but I was really struck by it. And I think Victoria says, just a very simple line, Robin, I think you're the coolest. I'm so glad we're friends.
Yeah.
For some reason, that really like pinned me to the back of my sofa. I was just like, that is How I Met Your Mother at its best, in a weird, casual way. Because I can't picture another sitcom having such an unadorned expression of like fondness and sincerity. There's no laugh line. And also like the juxtaposition of how subtly and not so subtly Robin's been denigrating her.
Yeah.
But just Victoria's sweetness of like, I think you're the coolest. Like, she looks up to her. She also values how much she places her career at the forefront. You know, she's trying to do that too.
I really liked Robin in that moment. Robin really lets her guard down and says, Wade, as a woman who's trying to figure out career and relationships, I actually have to admit I completely relate to what this dilemma that this woman is in, that I've been hating on this whole time. And she lets the guard down. She
has a revelation like, oh, women have to have each other's backs. Like, we can't be pitted against each other. This is stupid.
Yeah. I really liked Robin in that moment a lot.
Yeah. But I don't know. There was something just about that line. I think you're the coolest. I'm so glad we're friends.
It's really
just
sincere and
it's
sweet.
Actually really good writing, because it's just like,
sometimes people say things like that, and there's
sometimes
no treacle cutter, and there's no joke. Yeah.
I was also, it's a little throwaway scene, but it's Ted and Marshall in the kitchen, and Ted is really trying to seek counsel from his friend, and Marshall's just posing in his new suit.
Yeah, that was really funny. Jason's hilarious in that.
And it just reminded me, like, we're all the main characters in our stories. Like, that scene is about Marshall's new suit to Marshall.
It was weird you didn't say anything.
It's about, but then the flip, which is so funny, like, you know, like new pajama bottoms.
I love the specificity of new pajama bottoms.
It's like, you know it.
You know it.
Yeah, I've also got something to peacock in.
You know it.
Yeah.
I think we had to have the oven open for Ted to have his foot up on the oven, which is really funny. The oven was just open. Does that mean he's like, there's heat coming out? I don't know what's happening with that open oven.
I also thought the ending was, in some ways, like, one of the other reasons I liked it is because, like, Ted has so much faith in himself. Like, I'm Ted Mosby. I can make a long distance relationship work. The power of love will triumph over everything.
Yeah.
And it's again his kind of like passion and his optimism, which sometimes like actually makes it rain. Like, he had his power of belief has changed the weather in the universe, right?
Yes.
So he doesn't have it now, but I'm surely he has some evidence that his belief and his focus and his optimism, nothing can stand in the way of it. But also throughout the course of 9 years, a lot stands in the way of it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's really watching someone, and I think this is true of life, like, you can only manifest so much before the universe is like, not that.
Yeah.
Or the better lesson for you is to fail here. And you're like, really?
Yeah.
But I'm Ted Mosby. It's like, no, this is what we have in store for you. And it's actually going to be better for you if you trust it and partner with us.
You will learn more if you fail here. Yeah, I love that. I love Barney admitting that he did it. I most certainly did. And that's just the end of the sentence. He's admitting that he did steer Marshall into the evil side.
I most certainly did.
Yes, I love that. Barney's just like, yep, that's what I did. And the other thing I wanted to say about this episode is, I can't remember how explicitly we planned this, but I think it was somewhat like this metaphor. The metaphor of Marshall is trying on a suit. Marshall's trying on of that suit sends him into this direction of getting into Barney's company, which leads to all of this chaos and havoc in his life. Lily's trying on a wedding dress. Doesn't quite fit, doesn't quite work, and they're like these little omens in a way. Like Lily is trying something on, she's trying on a wedding dress, and what ends up happening later in the season, and without saying too many spoilers, is things do not go according to plan with her and that wedding dress and the wedding it's supposed to lead to at that time, at that chapter in their lives. And just, I love the metaphor of they're both trying on these things that kind of don't fit. And the whole larger debate is Victoria and Ted saying, do we fit?
Yeah, trying on a relationship, trying on a new costume. But there's also something about, it's a little childlike, like Marshall and Lily are, childhood extends, like we're in our 20s, you don't quite feel like an adult, but they're putting on the costumes.
You're putting on the costumes of adulthood and seeing if they fit and realizing the ways in which they do and the ways in which they do not.
Let's go right into a beloved section of the show that we like to call Questions and Observations from a Clinical Psychologist Who's Never Seen How I Met Your Mother and also happens to be married to Josh.
So I've been playing a new game while watching these episodes where I ask myself, if Ted were my patient, what would we be working on? And I think given the Cupcake episode, we'd likely be discussing when it's important to be an I versus a we. And how when you meet someone in your 20s, it can be tough because there are so many instances it's important to flex that I muscle, if you will, to not compromise too much self for a we. And I think that's one of the reasons couples are actually statistically more likely to last if they meet later in life, when that I muscle is really strong, when you know who you are. So I think I would tell Ted not to despair, that if the we doesn't work out here, it's because both he and Victoria need more time focusing on the I.
How about that?
That's a good one.
She
would have been a good therapist for Ted, but then there would have been no show because Ted would have just had his shit together and then there's no plot, there's no conflict.
It's true. The writer's room, it was on the board, keep Ted out of therapy. We have to keep him damaged enough to keep the plot going.
If he's in therapy.
There's no show. Yeah. Do you know Alain de Botton? He's a Swiss philosopher, writer, really interesting thinker. And he's got some really, he's got a TED Talk. I think his TED Talk is called Why You Will Marry the Wrong Person. And one of his things is there's a real benefit to coupling later in life because you know yourself better and you don't tend to blame your partner for things that are actually just you. Yeah. Like if you've lived long enough to know, I get funky on Sunday nights. Like Sunday nights, I'm generally in a bad mood. A little depression overtakes me. If you know yourself enough to know, by the time you're with someone, you can say, hey, this is not personal. Right. I get weird on Sunday nights. When you're younger and you get weird on Sunday nights and you don't know that that's a pattern of yours, you'd be like, she's making me weird on Sunday nights, or she's annoying me. Yeah. There's something really about self-knowledge, yes, and knowing your weather patterns that I think is really helpful in relationships.
100%. And that's Jordana's right. Ted needed to figure that out. And he had many, many more seasons of figuring that out. And thank God he didn't get into therapy too soon, or else it all would have wrapped up too soon.
But I think for this notion of I versus we is really, because it's a negotiation your whole life if you're in partnership. How much I do I lean into right here? I hope it's okay if I say this, and if it's not, my wife can tell me and we'll cut it out. She's right here. But I moved to New York to be with my wife. Yeah, it was easier. You're okay with that?
She's okay with it. All right, we have approval. We're going to go line by line. She's going to say
it was easier for me to come back to New York, where I had friends and community and I could do my career from here, than it would be for me to have her come to LA, where I was living. She has said to me, I know what a big sacrifice that was. I know that you did that for us. And if a job comes up that takes you away, like I'm ready for that. I'll go. Like, so there's this negotiation of like, I made a we choice, you know, that didn't harm my eye too much. Right. But she says like, if you need to make an I choice, I'm going to we you with you. I'm going to we on you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's important to we together as a couple. This is getting weird.
And that's what
we're back
that's
into
what Zip 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 is about.
We're into Zip. The episodes all bleed together. I would add one thing to that whole sort of I we paradigm. The other thing you learn as you get older is to dispel the illusion that becoming a we is going to solve everything in the I category.
Totally.
Right? Because you think there's some finish line. I think that's part of Ted's mythologizing that he does. I'm going to find this person and then everything's solved. No.
Right.
When you're a we, there's an incredible amount to still solve every fucking day. And
I think that's the cold plunge of relationships. Like you think it's going to be like this warm bath, but it's actually, if you're in a good relationship, the person functions as a mirror where your like all your kind of out of tune parts of yourself actually get highlighted. Yeah. And you end up having to work more on yourself to have the relationship be functional than you ever thought that film and TV taught you.
The wedding day or the getting together, the magic of getting together is kind of like the making of the New Year's resolution at midnight and there's champagne in the air.
The relationship is going to the gym after getting the membership in a fit of I'm gonna get ripped this year.
And it turns out you gotta go to the fucking gym.
You gotta go to the gym.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. But I do think that Ted is under the spell of a lot of romantic comedy tropes that he's watched. Like you just got to get to the altar. And also if you look at, you know, relationships in romantic comedies are all about getting to the point where you can be in a relationship together. They're almost never about actually being in a relationship.
Yes.
They're always like, you complete me at the door, flying to whatever Europe and, waiting for the seatbelt sign to go off. Like it's always about getting to the point and then roll credits. So we're actually woefully undereducated in what to do once you're actually in the relationship.
We are woefully misled by the rom-com. And that's why I like the ending of this episode, because it basically says, this shit does not work out. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. As ever, we are ending our episodes with one of our really wonderful examples of the kinds of letters that we have been receiving about what the show has meant to people. If you would like to contribute a written letter, or if you would like to leave us a voice note that maybe will get selected to open one of our episodes, please go to howwemadeyyourmother.com, contact, and it should be pretty clear from there. And this letter today is from Jordan. And here we go. Hello, my name is Jordan, and I owe How I Met Your Mother to finding the true love of my life. I've watched HIMYM through so many times, but watched it when it was still on TV. I still remember the season finale the first time I watched, the first time it aired. I'm from Alberta, but I went to university in Victoria, British Columbia, Royal Roads University. Ever watch X-Men? For so long, I've been looking for a yellow umbrella. For so long, I needed to find the perfect one, exactly like the show had. Oh, he's looking for an actual yellow umbrella. I thought he was metaphorically looking, but yes, I get it. Okay. For so long, I needed to find the perfect one, exactly like the show had. I just had this idea in my mind that I needed this umbrella before finding true love. I know that sounds so corny, but young 20s Jordan truly believed it. Soon, I started really liking this guy, Bradley, in my class. And after 6 months of a 12-month program, we finally went on our first date. He also really loved HIMYM. It was something we bonded over immediately. On our first date, we walked around Victoria. If you haven't been, it's a gorgeous city. And I mentioned my desire to find a yellow umbrella without going into the details above. He took me down a tiny little alley to this very small store. It was an umbrella store. It was there that I found the most perfect yellow umbrella. I was in complete awe. Of course, I bought it, but I thought it was too good to be a coincidence. But it's funny how sometimes you just find things. Flash forward to today, 7 years later, almost to the day. We're so happily married. Our wedding was perfect. We'd done an engagement shoot with the yellow umbrella, and a photo from that shoot was the label for our wine bottles. I hope you're able to see this so I can truly say thank you for giving me hope, for showing that it's okay to be a hopeless romantic, for bringing me to my person, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you so much. Alec, did they send a photo of the wine bottle?
They did not, but I hope they will. Please send it in to, you could send it through podcast@howimetyourmother.com.
Okay. And I've never been to Alberta. Have you, Craig?
Never.
Did you understand the X-Men reference? I didn't.
I think it means it's the school that, right? They shot the school for X-Men, like the Professor X's school was shot there. That's what, Alec, is that how you take that?
I assumed it was the real school, but something like that, yes.
Well, that was right. That was the location. And I was hoping he was going to say, like, I fell in love with a guy there, Wolverine. I was like, still, my brain was still in X-Men land.
Isn't it crazy, Craig, just to consider that if you and Carter hadn't made this show and cast all of us, like, kids would not have been born. Relationships would not have, there's a real, like, butterfly flaps its wings kind of sense of altering history because something was made that really affected people. And I can't tell you the amount of people I hear from, remember that, I became friendly with that soldier overseas who was really kind of depressed, and he started watching How I Met Your Mother and then asked his wife to start watching it with him so they could share it when he got home. And, that's not, they were already together, but there's so many stories of people who connected because of How I Met Your Mother, or they started showing them How I Met Your Mother and that became their kind of love language. You guys really, you've got a whole generation of How I Met Your Mother babies on your hands.
It's the greatest honor in the world. It blows my mind to hear that. And we've heard it a bunch of times, and it blows my mind equally as much every time we hear any story like that. Thank you. Please keep those stories coming. It means the world to us. We couldn't have imagined it back in 2005, 2006. That's the era we're talking about as we go through season 1 here, almost 20 years ago, 20 full years ago almost. And the idea that butterfly flapped its wings and the best kind of chaos has come of that chaos theory, and thank you for everybody who shares those stories with us.
I am guilty, please acquit me, all sins are forgiven in New York City.
How We Made Your Mother is hosted and executive produced by Josh Radnor and Craig Thomas. The show was produced by me, Alec Lev, and our co-producer is Doug Matica. Our audio producer and mixer is Alex Reeves at Point of Blue Studios, and our digital content producer, aka Gen Z Master, is Emily Blumberg. Artwork by John Morrow. Please follow, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. It really does help the show. Our theme song is NYC by our own Josh Radnor, with additional music by Craig Thomas and Andrew Majewski. Special thanks to Lola Kennedy and Elliot Connors. Visit howwemadeyourmother.com to sign up for our Substack mailing list and for links to our social media. You can also click on the contact page to send us an email or a voice message. Your stories and questions are an important part of the show. Want some merch? Click on the store link or go to howyougetyourmerch.com. Subscribe to Josh Radnor's newsletters on Substack. Order Craig Thomas's debut novel at craigthomaswriter.com/novel. And you can subscribe to my Dead Fathers Society, also on Substack. To learn about how you make a difference, this show's ongoing campaign to raise money for congenital heart disease research, check out the Make a Difference tab at the top of our website. This episode was made possible by the support of Backyard Ventures. People will, in fact, dance.
The real question, it just hit me. Am I in love with you, or just New York City?